AdAlta is a drug discovery and development company. We use our proprietary iBody technology as a powerful drug discovery tool to develop high-value novel protein therapeutics for challenging diseases that have been underserved by traditional antibody technology. We're headquartered in Melbourne, where our talented team of 12 PhDs work in our laboratories to discover these amazing drugs. The best way to think about AdAlta is to consider some of the problems or needs that we address. The first problem is that while antibody drugs revolutionized the pharmaceutical industry when they first became available 30 years ago, they still can't do everything. And the search has been on for years to find smaller formats of antibodies that can do the same things, but in a much smaller package, if you like. And that's where AdAlta's iBody technology comes into play. We're about 10% the size of a traditional antibody and can access different types of targets than traditional antibodies can. And so we believe we have a solution to the general problem of how do you solve the drug targets that traditional antibodies can't work with. Now, getting more specifically, where are we developing specific products that can make a big difference to human healthcare? In the area of fibrosis, this is scarring of internal organs. There are huge unmet needs in multiple organ systems where disease causes scarring, which creates progressive and irreversible decline in that organ function. One example is lung fibrosis, where scarring of the lungs prevents the lungs expanding and contracting as well as they should, significantly reducing respiratory capacity. Now, in lung fibrosis, in kidney fibrosis, and in eye fibrosis, here we're looking at multi-billion-dollar markets that are really poorly served today. We believe our lead product, AD214, is a potential solution to the limitations of current antifibrotic therapies. The second area we're looking at for specific products is in the area of CAR T cells. So these are immune cells, a patient's own immune cells that are now engineered outside the body to be able to fight and recognize cancer, so that when they're given back to the patient, they can be primed, ready to fight the patient's own cancer. You know, this goes way beyond simply trying to kill the cancer with chemotherapy or trying to reactivate the patient's own deficient immune system. This is about turbocharging the patient's immune system, and the results for blood cancers have been absolutely phenomenal. The challenge we have today is how do we get that same response into solid tumours? And this is an area where we're working with our initial partner, Karuna Biotech, to develop these novel, what we call CAR T cells, capable of addressing solid tumours. This marketplace should be worth, or is forecast to be worth, over $20 billion by the end of the decade. And then finally, we're working with GE Healthcare to develop novel PET imaging agents to help us detect patients who are responding to the new immuno-oncology drugs much earlier than is otherwise possible. Today, between 20 and 40% of patients actually respond to these drugs. They get great outcomes when they do, but we can't always tell who is responding until about 6 or 8 months after treatment started. And that's probably too late. By the time they relapse, their cancer has progressed way too far. But we found, or GE came to us and said, look, can we image these markers of response using PET imaging, which is non-invasive, and if we can do that, we've got a much better way of getting these therapies to the right patients and the patients onto the right therapies much faster. The market for PET imaging agents is about $6 billion. The market for the new checkpoint inhibitor drugs or immuno-oncology drugs is over $100 billion. And so being able to get the right patient onto the right drug is a massive benefit for payers and the healthcare system in general. So these are some of the examples of the problems that we're addressing with our technology. So let's now turn to our business model and how we're actually realizing the value potential of meeting those needs. And let's also talk about the assets we have in development today. So underpinning everything we do at the bottom of this slide is our iBody platform. This is a powerful drug discovery engine. It's proprietary to AdAlta. It is what our scientists work on every day to identify specific iBodies that can help address the needs I described previously. We turn this into value for our shareholders and ultimately revenue for the company in two different ways. The first approach is what we call our wholly owned assets or internally developed assets, where we discover and develop a therapeutic through to the point where we can license that to a pharmaceutical company for final development and commercialization. In return, we would get milestones, upfront payments and milestones during ongoing development, and ultimately royalties from the commercialization of those products. Our lead program here is AD214, which is being developed for fibrotic diseases. It's completed phase 1, and we're working towards moving that into phase 2. The second approach we have is to co-develop molecules with partners who bring complementary technology. And in this way, we reduce the costs of discovery because we share those with our partners, and in some cases, they will fully fund the discovery process. And so we get a drug into our pipeline at a much lower cost. But importantly, they also bring complementary technology. So GE, for example, bring us the capability to label our eye bodies with PET imaging agents, radioisotopes that enable the images to be created, which we don't have in-house. Carina Biotech, our partner in the CAR-T space, for example, brings us the capability to engineer a CAR cell on which we put our eye body binders. And so this is the second approach. And in this case, while we earn lower royalties and milestones down the track, what we do defray is our upfront discovery costs. So let's talk about what's coming as we demonstrate the future progress of these assets and what will demonstrate for investors and shareholders that we are continuing to make progress. On this slide, you can see the milestones coming in the first half and second half of 2023. In the past year, we've substantially added value to this asset, and we've gone from 1 indication and 1 route of administration to 4 potential indications and 2 potential routes of administration. And we've just prioritized focusing on injectable administration for lung fibrosis, kidney fibrosis, and eye fibrosis. And the milestones that we'll see coming in 2023 are all about progressing those injectable indications from where we are today through into our next clinical trial, which will begin in 2024. In our co-development program, we've added our second program and really launched our eye-body-enabled CAR-T program through our collaboration with Carina Biotech. And so we now have 2 co-development programs running, and the milestones we're expecting are really about how do we demonstrate preclinical proof of concept of the drugs we're developing under those co-development collaborations. In red, you can also see that the partnering window is open for all of these, or for our AD214 asset and for our eye CAR program as well. We're looking to add additional co-development programs or co-development partners into our iCAR program. And we're starting to have ramp up existing conversations around licensing AD214, potentially ahead of phase 2 clinical trials. So both of these collaboration types, while we're not forecasting specific timelines for these, certainly could add and provide the opportunity to add additional programs and non-dilutive financing to the company. So at a market capitalization today of around about $15 million, with 4 programs operational, 1 in the clinic, and the capacity to generate many more, we believe we're a pretty attractive investment proposition, especially when you consider that fibrosis assets have been transacted at phase 1 for up to $40 million upfront, which is obviously a significant multiple of our current market capitalization. And so we think there's a really exciting opportunity ahead of us. We'd be delighted to have further conversations with you, and for more information, please visit our website at AdAlta.com.au or contact us on inquiries at AdAlta.com.au. We've got a great, exciting year ahead of us. We're continuing to move our assets forward, and we look forward to continuing to deliver value and outcomes to some really needy patient populations. Thank you.